Hi guys, it's Beth and welcome to my channel today. Today is Friday, a Friday in June, and that makes it a Finish It Friday. For those of you who are new to my channel or maybe you just missed my first one, I have dubbed June the month that I'm going to try and finish up as many of those projects in progress that I can. I have some iris containers that I have full of just projects that are in various stages of completion, and I just want to kind of get through some of those. At least I want to try and get through all of the little quick ones that I can, and then maybe even some of the bigger ones this month in June, just because they're starting to bother me always, hanging out there. So I posted a video last Friday and I showed some Hello Kitty projects that I made. One of them was this journal, and I wanted to show you that I did add some things to that after the video. I wanted to try and use up as many of the remaining scraps from the paper, the Hello Kitty paper that I had, because you know me, I want to use it all up, I want to get rid of it. And then I was talking about adding something to the cover. And then my daughter, I had these little charms in my stash that had come off, jewelry or clothes or something, I don't know. And so she added those to the front for me. And then I did add some words on the front here. Instead of something Hello Kitty related, I just decided to go like with more of a positive vibe. And so I used some black vinyl and just did have courage and be kind. And then I'm not going to go into detail on the inside. I just wanted to show you a few of the things I had added. I went through all of the pockets and then all of the scraps that I had and figured out if I could make like little journal cards or pocket tucks, anything like that, just to use up those scraps. So this was a scrap of Hello Kitty paper, and I also fussy cut a bow out of Hello Kitty paper. I added some of these that I had in my stash that I had cut from my silhouette. They just look like little notebook pages. This was another Hello Kitty paper scrap, and I just thought it was a cute little journal card. And then I made some little decorated paper clips with some of the little strips that I had left. I just took one and folded it over the bottom part of the paper clip, and then took another strip, cut it into two pieces, and just kind of added them in at an angle. Nothing fancy, was just trying to use up some of these scraps, and I thought that's kind of a fun and different way to do it. Here again, just another little journal type card, and I wanted to make sure and put something in all the tuck spots so that, whatever ends up happening to it, whoever uses it knows that it's a tuck spot. These were just some Dollar Tree stickers that I had that were Hello Kitty. This was a scrap of Hello Kitty paper that I just added a scrap of some ribbon that I think came off of a hair bow and added that to the top, made like a little bookmarked kind of tag. This I fussy cut out of a clothing tag. This was some of this paper that was left. I just added it to some cardstock to make it a little sturdier. This one I just stapled some scrap paper to it and made it into a little tag. That was from Hello Kitty paper. This was just like more of the copyweight type, lighter weight paper. Just added it to some cardstock. This I don't think I had this in here before. I fussy cut it out of some Halloween themed paper, but I didn't think it looked overly Halloween-y once I cut her out of like the bat scene. So I thought that might work there. And then here's just some white cardstock that I took some of the strip of paper that I had left, added that to the top. Here, just made a couple little tags just so that they know that this is a tuck spot. And I ended up adding some white lace down here to cover the center that I didn't like how it looked. Here's just some white cardstock with strip scraps at the top and bottom. Another little paper clip that I made. Here, I just took some scrap cardstock, made it into like a little booklet. And then this one, I had intended on making a card, like a Hello Kitty card, and then I thought, well, that might be cute just to add in here too. They could either use it as a card or they could journal in it or add some pictures, so I just threw it in here too. some more of those little notebook paper pieces. Just some other little scraps that I turned into tags. I added this one too, just some white cardstock. Let's just really focus on trying to use up the last of the scraps. Here again, just added a little strip to some cardstock. Just cardstock, plain cardstock. I didn't do anything to that one. This was a strip of paper that I was able to cut out the full words of Hello Kitty. So I just put it on cardstock. This was another clothing tag that I saved, and I covered up the hole here with a little white heart. This was off of a birthday card, and then here I just used some scraps to make tags. So, oh, and then this was from the Halloween Hello Kitty. I just separated the Hello Kitty from the actual image of the Hello Kitty. So, a couple things. One, to show you that you can find embellishments for journals like this in the strangest places. Like I have jewelry pieces that had come apart, hair accessories that have come apart, clothing tags, bits and pieces from greeting cards. So if you have been saving all of those for any reason, I had always intended to make something for my girls with these, like some kind of interactive book anyway. So now I have put it to good use. So just wanted to show you the last few things I added to this journal, and now it is especially chunky. So the next thing I tackled were some scrapbook pages, because I am so close to being done scrapbooking my 2012 pictures, and I have one more event from 2012 to scrapbook, and it's a trip to Florida, so that's going to take multiple pages, but I'm still hoping to finish 2012 by the end of June, so that should be doable for next week. So these are just some random events that I wanted to go ahead and get in my albums. Have a baseball game from 2012, just our local minor league team, and I used some cut-aparts from I think it's Cartabella or Echo Park Work Hard, Play Hard line. And so I kind of let that be my color scheme, and that helped me choose like this darker brick red paper. But then I also had some other stickers that kind of worked with that and had some blue in it, and so I pulled in the blue chevron just to accent. And I did use up 2 full sheets of 8.5 by 11 pattern paper and the majority of 2 sheets of this brick red pattern paper, and then I finished off 2 sheets of baseball themed stickers. So I had mentioned when I started this that yes, my focus is shifting from use it up to finish it up, but in the process of finishing things up, I would probably end up using things up along the way, and I have. So that's awesome. And I'm using things that I probably wouldn't have normally focused on using up to begin with. So we go from baseball to basketball. And this is just one of the first Butler basketball games that my daughter got to go to, and I think the part she liked best was sitting on Blue, the Butler Bulldog mascot statue there. Here I had some random embellishments left in my stash. I just have a scoreboard here, some stickers. I did use up another sticker sheet on here, and then some white letters, and this was just a basketball that I had fussy cut out. It was in my stash. And then this I just printed the Butler Bulldog logo just as an embellishment to go along with the Butler theme. So I did one for my album and one for my daughter's album, so they both look a little bit different. But again, I used up some miscellaneous embellishments that I had, and then I did use up 2 sheets of paper, I think, as well. So, and then the last set of layouts I have sports related. We had baseball, basketball, and now NASCAR, car racing. So this one, I had 1 sheet of like checkered flag paper in my stash, and I wanted to do a 1-page layout for my daughter's album and then a 2-page layout for my album. And so I just cut the checkered paper just to keep it simple, cut it into 3 strips at 4 inches each, and figured I could kind of use that much on each layout. This one was just kind of a hodgepodge of stuff that I was trying to use up. When I was looking for some letter stickers in my stash, I ran across these black letters that had the checkered flags on them. And I thought, well, that's kind of fun. You know, I'm sure I had them to do a NASCAR layout in the past, but there weren't a whole lot of useful letters left. So I kind of made some words that related to this that I could, like I did fun. So Brickyard, I made that part of my title, Brickyard 400 Fun, because this was the Holler Parade that happens at the beginning of the race weekend. And then I did cool, which was kind of a stretch. But then there were just really random letters left, like Z's and X's and V's, some L's, and so I wanted to mat my little picture here, and so I just kind of took the letters that were left and haphazardly put them on my cardstock and just turned them into a little black and white card map. So this is not even from that just got stuck to the back of the sheet, but this was those checkered flag letter stickers that are now gone. And then I used up one little sheet of these I think they're Mrs. Grossman, yeah, Mrs. Grossman race car stickers from 1998. Taking it way back on that one. So just used up one little sheet of these, again, kind of trying to use them where I could. So this one was just kind of a, let's see what we can finish off on that layout. So here, again, I'm using some more. This is still part of the cutouts from the Echo Park or Cartabella, one of the two, Work Hard, Play Hard line. And this was one big 4x6 cut apart that I cut into 2 pieces. So I used this to kind of help make my title. And then I used this one down here because it had some lines on it to do some journaling. This was another cut apart that I just cut down to get the gears off of. And then here I used a scrap of what I cut off of here up there, and then one down here just to kind of pull the red through the layout. Again, very simple, basic layouts, just trying to get my pictures on some pages so I can get them in my album. So switching gears, I pulled out another, I had a couple, like I mentioned before, I had some iris tubs that had just random projects in them in various stages, and so I pulled those out and kind of did what I could from each one. So I will, if I have pictures, I think I have pictures of them, of what the iris bins looks like originally, and drop those in so you can see kind of what I started with. But one of them was full of note card pieces. Just note cards are a really quick way to use up paper in your stash, and there are certain times that they sell really well, like at Christmas time, just like some basic Christmas cards, some simple ones. People can either use them as Christmas cards, thank you cards, just, you know, whatever around that time of year. And then I had some other fun papers that kind of make some just general note cards. And so at one point I had gone on a streak and I'm like, all right, I'm going to use up all this paper. And so I cut down tons of note card, like front panels, and then just some of them were adhered to the card but just needed something on the inside because it was a black card base. Some of them I never made it onto a card. So I finished up the ones that I could, and I think these were not on a card base yet, and so I added them to just a black cardstock card base and then some off-white paper in the middle. And then I also went ahead and paired them with envelopes, so all I have to do is stick them in some cellophane bags and they are ready to go to either craft shows on Etsy or to the handmade boutique that we have stuff in. So this is just some fun black and white print that says hello, hi, hey, and how you doing? And so I put these on black cardstock and then thought it would be fun to add like a little pop of color. So I just took some of the scraps I had in my stash of some red cardstock, cut some flowers, and then layered on white and black. Just realized I never turned my other light on. So I got 2 sets of these. And then I have some faith-based note cards, and these, I don't think I had these on. I think I had to add them to the cardstock as well. So this is just cream cardstock. And then I have a faith stamp, like there's a stamp set and it had the word faith and it had an arrow. So I just did that on the bottom right corner of the outside of the card. And then on the inside of each note card, I just stamped a little set of crosses down here. So it just gives them a little bit of something extra. Paired those with some envelopes. And then I have a ton, like 3 sets of these. They are big sets. I just thought they would be good for Christmas. But there's 2 patterns in each set. It's these cute little snowmen, and then these little round Santas. And there were 3 sheets of each of these papers, and they came in a Christmas paper pad that I've had for a long time. And so I made most of the note cards I do like this. I make them the note card base is 4 by 5.5. So then when I cut my panels down, they're like 3 7/8 by 5 3/8. And that's just so I can get 6 full card fronts out of each 12 by 12 sheet of paper. So there's like 12 in this set. So I have 3 of these that I think not all of them, but most of them are already on the black card bases, but they didn't have white paper in the center. So I added that, added my envelopes, and finished those. And then realized, I think part of the reason why I had stopped at that time was because I had ran out of like good heavy duty cardstock, and so I'm still out. I'm waiting on some to come from Amazon at the beginning of the month with my subscribe and save order. So I do still have some that I didn't get to just because I'm out of cardstock. So that's what I could finish from that bin. The rest of the stuff in there were papers for note card sets that I make regularly and sell. Like I just keep them all together so I don't always have to dig for them. So I decided to jump to one of my other project and process bins. And this one just had like a bunch of random stuff. So it had some paper, like scraps from cards I had made, and so it's like, well, I could put them back in my stash, or I could just go ahead and use them. So there was like this charcoal gray card stock in there, and then these 2 patterned papers, and so I just decided to kind of work with some of the stuff that I had on my desk or, within reach, and make a couple of quick birthday cards. This Happy Birthday, May the Adventures Continue is one that was just kind of in my sentiment stash I keep on my desk, and that is printed from my silhouette. And then I ended up I already had these cream card bases cut, and I have a drawer that I keep like card bases and some card mats in. And so I just went ahead and used a cream card base, and I just didn't pay attention that my sentiment here is white, and then this is cream, but oh well. And then just used a couple of the scraps here on the front, at the bottom, and then on the inside. And then this one is part of a birthday card that I had cut down. I just thought it would make like a nice embellishment on the front of a card. So here again, use the charcoal gray. I had a bigger piece of that yellow polka dot pattern, and then just used a little strip of the arrows down here at the bottom, and then added the yellow on the inside. So used up really quickly. I'd say within 15 minutes I had used up the last of those scraps rather than putting them back into my stash. And then I had some papers and composition notebooks in my stash, and it was in this other bin like that. I had pulled out papers that I thought would work well for them, just never got the chance to actually make them. So I decided to go ahead and get them made up. Isn't this just a gorgeous scene, and don't you want to be there right now? Like I do. It just looks very relaxing and warm and peaceful. So I don't know where this paper is originally from, but it's a nice thick paper, and I had several sheets that kind of coordinated. I think I inherited them from somebody, like maybe through a D-stash that I had purchased, like of a bunch of random paper. So I decided to go ahead and make up these notebooks. These are composition notebooks that I had found at Office Depot last year or the year before, and they were a penny each, and it was during their back to school sale, so you can't beat a penny unless it's free. And then to make these, I loosely followed a tutorial from Amber at Lyric Lover Crafts, and I will try and find her video. It's been a while since I've watched it. I just remember how she had done it. So I will look for her video and link it for you in the description box below. But basically, and I will make one real quick with you here in a second, but basically she just takes her paper and wraps it around the front of the notebook, and then it's like a seamless, kind of just makes it easier rather than having to cut it down into multiple pieces. And I don't usually cover this part anyway. I let this kind of stand alone and be the spine, and so that worked perfect. What I changed up on some of them though is it depended on the orientation of the picture that I wanted on my cover. So this one, I think I had to cut down a little bit over here just to get this centered on the front. And then to embellish the front, I printed this sentiment from my silhouette out of some white vinyl and just applied it, and I love how this one came out. And then on the back side, I just used some kind of neutral cloud paper, and then the strip that I had cut off the front cover, I added it back here as a pocket, because this, when you wrap it around, it doesn't cover the whole inside. So I think this is the part that Amber had done differently. I think she added a pocket, but I want to say she added something else and then added a pocket that went this way. So I just left my pockets here. This one, because I had cut that strip off over here, it only wrapped to like right here. So I had originally added this kind of reddish, pinkish, purplish pocket, and then this was still sitting on my desk, and so I went ahead and made a double pocket with this one. So you've got a pocket there and a pocket here. And then I had scraps left, like a bunch of little strips, and so again, just decided to use up some of those strips and make some little, very simple paper clips, decorative paper clips. And I just stamped this little love and heart on both sides. And I'm just sticking it here for right now. Like people, whoever ends up with this, oopsie, can add it as a page marker if they want. I'm just trying to put it here, one, because this paper is a little bit stiffer and would hold it up better. And this paper clip is what I have left. When I get these bows from Cartabello or Echo Park that come on the paper clips, I usually take the bows off and use those separately, and so then I end up with these gold, they're really nice, strong gold paper clips left, and so that's what I used here. And then here is another one I did the same way. This time I didn't have to cut anything off. This was already on the left side of my paper, so I just used it as it was. And then did some more white vinyl that says today is a good day to have a good day. This one just has a single pocket and another one of those paper clips, and then the back is similar. And so I will make one here with you real quick, but I wanted to show you, again, I just can't leave the scraps. I don't want to have to put them in my scrap box. I don't have to put them back in my drawer. I just want to come up with some quick ways to use them up. So this was a sheet of the cardstock or pattern paper that I had left, and it's fairly thick, and so I just went ahead and made a little card base out of it because it's fairly solid. And then I had a bunch of strips left that were about 2 by 12 inches, and so I just cut them down, other than these two. I just cut them down into 6-inch strips, and then stamped something on them, like these say all you need is love, life is beautiful on these two, and then dream on the cloud ones. And I figured I can make these into bookmarks. I haven't decided if I want to laminate them yet or not, or just leave them as is, because my thinking was that I could go ahead and tuck those into these pockets as well. So I will do holes in them, add some yarn or twine or something to the top, and then decide if I want to round the corners or if I want to laminate them. And then this was just a smaller piece where I did the same thing. And then this was a long strip, and it was a little bit thinner paper, and so I just folded it over onto itself, and now it's a nice stiff bookmark. And again, stamped dream, can punch a hole, add some yarn, and it's a bookmark. So that used up most of the other scraps. So I have one here that I am ready to do with you, and let me pull everything out and get some other stuff out of the way, and we can make one up real quick. I can show you kind of how I adapted Amber's original tutorial. Okay, let's see how quickly I can get through this because my battery looks like it's pretty low. So I have my composition notebook. Again, this is another one I got for a penny. And I have gone ahead and added score tape to the front and the back cover just to save time on that. You don't need to watch me do that. And I use score tape just because it works well with different weights of paper, so I don't necessarily want to use wet glue if I'm gluing a thinner paper to these covers, but I want a strong tape a strong adhesive that's really going to hold it down. So I have my notebooks measured just shy of 10 inches tall. So I've gone ahead and cut some patterned paper down to 10 inches and then left the length at 12. So this is a 10 by 12 piece, and I liked it that it already had a little message on there for me. So what I'm going to do is line it up so that it starts here at this spine. And what I have learned is that these notebooks are not always put together very straight. You can see here that the cover is almost a little short. You can see the papers underneath it. The spine isn't always level. It's not always the same distance. Sometimes it comes over at an angle. So that's why I didn't cut my paper down to the exact size that the cover of the notebook was, because I wanted to leave myself some wiggle room. And then sometimes I just put it down crooked and just gives me some wiggle room. So I'm going to take off this tape that's over here against the spine. I'm going to take the backing off, and then I'm going to fold these over because I want to just focus on lining this end up first, and without having to glue the whole thing down and then it be like seriously off kilter. Like I'm off a little bit at the bottom here, so before I press it down I still have a little bit of wiggle room to move it around. Okay, so I will go ahead and press that down really well, and then I can take off the rest of my tape backing. And I want to make sure that I'm level at the bottom. And then I am going to take my bone folder and just burnish it down really well just to make sure it's going to stick. So now we have the inside cover and we have this much left. So this is the idea that I got from Amber, is just going ahead and folding this over and using this to cover as much of this page as you can. So I'm going to burnish that a little bit just to help the fold go well. But I also want to kind of be as even as I can. And so you can see it's not going to cover the whole inside cover, which is why I've been adding that pocket. So to cover the inside here, I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to put score tape along the edge of the cover here, and then I'm going to come over to my paper, see if I can line that up, and put score tape on my paper for the rest of it. Just because that way I don't have to mark how far over the paper is going to go. So it just works better for me. So now I can go ahead and add the rest of the tape. And so again, I'm going to take this off first and fold these back just so it's easier to get them off. And then I want to try and line it up best I can just so there's not a huge overhang down here at the bottom. And I can come in, pull off my tape. Furnish. And then I do have like a little bit of overhang up here at the top. And so how I'm going to take care of that is I have this little finger blade, which I don't know how I lived without this for so many years. I just got this like in the last couple months and have used the fire out of it. Love it. So handy in so many ways. So I am going to just use this finger blade to come up against the top of my notebook to trim off that extra. And because I can't see it very well right here, I am going to use my bone folder to show me where the edge is. And this is a sharp, sharp blade. I have poked myself and cut myself multiple times, and it cuts through so much, just like butter. It's amazing. So there is our notebook cover, and I can always embellish it, but I can do that later. But I will show you real quick. I have the We Are Memory Keepers Crocodile corner rounder here, corner chomper I think is what they call it, and I'm just going to come up and do the edges so that they don't get all smushed down anyway. And that is something that I believe Amber did as well. So then to cover this part right here, I have another piece of paper that I've cut down to 10 inches, and I'm going to, I usually kind of figure out how much space I have that I need to cover. So like this one, it's just over 2 inches, so I might go 2.5 or 3 inches to give myself some leeway. So I'm over here trimming my paper down to 3 inches by 10 inches. And then I have a Fiskars border punch, and this one is a scallop border. First I want to figure out which side I want to be facing. I think I like that lighter green. So I'm going to take the side that I want facing towards the outside of the notebook and put it in my punch. And if you don't have a border punch, you could use, you know, decorative scissors or nothing at all. Like, you don't have to do anything to it. You could totally leave it as a straight edge. I just thought it gives it a little bit of extra something something with the scalloped edge here. Alright, so my battery did die, so we're back. And I'm almost done, I promise. So to do my pocket here, I am using wet glue this time just because it gives me a little wiggle room, and then it will dry completely and allow things to not stick so much in the pocket. So at my top, I'm going to go ahead and use my, since my strip here is longer than my notebook, I'm going to get that top part marked first, and then just add wet glue to 3 sides. The street side, and then the top and bottom. And then I'm not going to come all the way to the very edge, but I'm going to come almost to it, just because I don't want to interfere with the closing of the notebook. And then I'm going to take my bone folder again, burnish that down, just to make sure the glue spreads out and sticks really well. And I need to let that dry before I trim it off, but then I would come in with my finger blade again and turn it upside down and trim off that last bit there at the top. So the back side I would do just the same way. This side I just have some different paper that I plan on using and would put it on the exact same way. So this video is already pretty long, so I'm going to go ahead and stop here. But if you guys have any questions on how I did anything or anything that I used, let me know. Again, I will link Amber's video tutorial in the description box below, as well as any of the products that I use that I can find. And lost my light. So as finishing up Friday, I did clear out, I didn't clean out both of those bins, but I cleared out a lot of space. These notebooks took up a lot of space. These cards were taking up a lot of space, so I did free up a lot of storage space in those iris bins and got some of these quick projects done. And I had a lot of fun with the notebooks and the scrapbook pages. So hopefully this gives you an idea how you can use up some of your paper and maybe gives you some inspiration to go pull out some of those work in progress projects that you have and just finish them up, especially those ones that are almost done, that aren't going to take a whole lot of time. Just go ahead and finish them up, and I promise you'll feel better. But thank you guys so much, as always, for your time today. I so appreciate you guys and all of your support. But I hope you guys are all having a crafty time, a crafty day, and we'll talk to you again soon.